You know what's an underrated story beat? Taking a moment. In more passive forms of entertainment like movies and books, it gives people a chance to sit with the characters and take in events. In video games, it's different. You're taking stock of what you're about to do, what you've seen, and what you're about to accomplish. Certain games understood this more than others. Resident Evil, for example. The save room serving as a chance to catch your breath. That soothing music. That, full disclosure, I sometimes still listen to late at night when I can't sleep. I associate it with safety, I suppose. But the absolute best deployment of this device, in my opinion, belongs to Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The chopper framing devices acting as both an understatedly solid way of aiding immersion, but also just giving you time to yourself. An inhale at the beginning of the level, a ragged exhale at the end. It's almost masterful, but then so is this game. Released in North America, November 6th, 2006, and November 9th in Europe, Call of Duty 4 took what had become a slightly tired genre that peddled a tired format and dragged it into the 21st century. And I'm talking literally here. The safety net of the World War II setting, which developers Infinity Ward had proven they could knock something up with in their sleep, was gone. The up-to-date setting was more of a risk than I think people realise even today. COD has a dedicated fan base that are incredibly set in their ways. They could have outright rejected this, but they didn't. It would become the second best-selling Xbox 360 game of 2007, behind only the juggernaut that was Halo 3, and the third best-selling game overall that year. And part of that is down to everything about this being honed and polished to something close to perfection. Beautiful graphics, tight controls, frantic, exciting gameplay that rewarded risk-taking whilst also expecting you to engage your brain. It was different than a lot of AAA console releases, in as much as it felt like it had been crafted with love. Nothing felt left to chance. Everything came across like it was the result of a vision, except for one thing. One thing I'm sure they pulled off accidentally, because in mine and the opinions of the rest of the FatNinja gaming team, they never pulled it off again. Written by Jesse Stern, who has worked on such games as the Titanfall series and Battlefield 4, not to mention the direct sequel to this, as well as successful TV shows such as NCIS and Bull. This thing grabs you immediately by the throat and keeps squeezing right until the very end. It offers you memorable characters brought to life by fantastic for the time voice acting and set pieces that don't feel like they exist simply because the game needs something big to blow up. Although something does, but you get my point. A lot, and I mean a lot, has been made about the newt sequence, and for good reason. It's an artistic masterpiece hidden inside a Michael Bay feature. Think games like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, The Stanley Parable, and Gone Home. Walking simulators where all you did was wander around and experience the world. This is a small chunk of something like that if it was programmed by somebody who really liked the Saw movies. You're taken aback. Not just because of what you've just seen, not just because of what's just happened to you, but because of what the game expects you to accept as reality. You are about to die. When we play games, we're not wired like that. I mean, for crying out loud, over 20 years later, there are gamers still deluding themselves that there's some way they can say Tifa in Final Fantasy VII. You jump, you shoot, you hide, you fight, you live. You got this far by doing all of those things, and then suddenly, boom, none of it matters. You can't hide from radiation. You can't shoot a mushroom cloud to make it stop killing you. I watched a bit of gameplay before I started writing this to refresh my memory, and I saw something that made me marvel. After the player took a higher than recommended fall whilst moving, the damage indicator appeared on screen, reminding you you're playing a game that in any other circumstances you'd be expected to survive. It's jarring and disturbing in the best possible way, genuinely something else. I find myself reluctant to go into any more details from this point forward because if for some insane reason you've never played this yet, I don't want to ruin it for you. And yeah, I'm aware I'm playing the spoilers card on a game that's nearly 12 years old, but that should tell you how much I love it. And anyway, story details aren't really that important to the point of the rest of this video. That being, after they crafted this, they never came close to topping it, or even rivaling it. As an aside, I'm gonna state that I'm exempting the Black Ops games from criticism here, because their function isn't to give you a proper story. They exist to string together conspiracy theories into something approaching a coherent narrative. InfoWars the game, if you will. Try not to imagine your character as Alex Jones when you play it now. Jesse Stern returned to write Modern Warfare 2, but nothing in that campaign had the same oomph of the first one. The set pieces especially felt more conscious of themselves, trying to be memorable and shocking rather than organically presenting themselves through the narrative. It was still a fun game, but you could already feel their priorities shifting towards multiplayer. By the third one, anything catering to a single player was obviously suffering from just theirism, an obligation, not a priority. I couldn't even make it through a playthrough for research purposes. It was boring. Beyond that, the series travelled down a more fantastical, space shootery road. Story mode becoming less about story and more about making a fuss of whatever mainstream star they could convince to appear in it. But I don't want this video to end negatively. Just because someone achieves greatness only once doesn't make that greatness any less admirable. And the original Modern Warfare deserves admiration. Good job, soldier. Is VR coming to Xbox One? Click the video on screen for more awesome FatNinja gaming content.